Hey friends, and welcome back to I'd Like to Unsubscribe. And today we are hitting pause on the lie that so many of us believe at some point: my creativity is gone, right? Because somewhere, like between growing up and getting sick or having trauma and trying to survive through it all, a lot of us stopped actually creating. And maybe at some point you were told you weren't good at it, or maybe your perfectionism just sort of shut it down, or maybe just you don't have the energy anymore. Because here's the deal: creativity isn't a luxury, though. It is a lifeline. And it calms your nervous system, it lowers your cortisol, and it literally lights up parts of your brain that are responsible for joy, regulation, and healing. So science says it, scripture says it, and frankly, your soul already knows it. So whether your version of creativity is building a playlist or doodling in the margins or repainting one of your walls or just moving the furniture around in your apartment until your brain just exhales, this episode is your permission slip to be creative. Because newsflash, you are creative. It's in your bones. And if you've forgotten how, well, me and Britt are here to help you remember. So let's get to it.
What if the life you planned vanished overnight? For Marissa and Britt, it was painful chronic conditions without cures. We lost everything: our health, independence, careers, and even our sense of self. But in the wreckage, we found something unexpected: a chance to rebuild. Welcome to I'd Like to Unsubscribe, the podcast for anyone feeling stuck, lost, traumatized, or just straight up over it. This isn't about surviving illness or trauma. It's about ditching the toxic beliefs holding you back and even daring to dream again. We're bringing real talk, hard-earned wisdom, lots of sarcasm, and practical tools to help you rise. You'll laugh, you'll cry, and you'll remember, even in the darkest moments, hope is still alive. Are you experiencing symptoms of lupus or feeling alone on this journey? The Lupus Foundation of New England is here to help you. They're dedicated to supporting those living with lupus, offering education, resources, and a community to help you navigate the journey. From learning about symptoms and testing to upcoming events and research, the Lupus Foundation of New England has you covered. Visit lupusne.org and connect with others who truly understand. You don't have to do this alone. Visit lupusne.org. That's lupusne.org today. Hey friends, welcome back to I'd Like to Unsubscribe, the podcast where we lovingly roll our eyes at the left brain versus right brain myths and remind you that glue sticks are not just for toddlers.
That is correct. And today, Britt and I are going to cancel the lie that whispers to you sometimes: my creativity is just gone. Because spoiler alert, when our brain is literally wired for it, your body heals faster with it, and God kind of invented the idea. So buckle up, because we're going to take our markers out and our judgment off, and we're going to start with the elephant that's in the craft store. Why do we stop creating, especially when we're sick or in crisis, like the time that we really need to do it? And there are 4 big reasons why we often stop doing this. One is our energy economics, right? Chronic illness hijacks our spoons. And if you're not familiar with the spoon theory, definitely go and check it out. So when you have a limited amount of spoons, right, anything extra like creativity might feel like this luxurious thing, and you just don't have the space for it, right? That's what your brain is telling you. The other thing is perfection paralysis, which we've all had at some point in our life. If we can't do it well, then I'm not going to do it all right now, at all. And the other one is our survival brain, because neurologically, our amygdala is shouting like, dude, you got to worry about keeping me alive right now. You need to put that watercolor set down. Like, we have more important things going on here.
Oh yeah, and this last one is my favorite one. The left brain versus right brain myth. And honestly, I totally thought this was a real thing, because I've said it. I'm just left brain, so I don't create, like people say that all the time. Well, not sorry to call you out, sis, but that is completely outdated and an oversimplified myth. So full myth here. it's the idea, if you're not familiar with it, that people are either left brain, which is they are then logical, they're analytical, detail oriented, you're, engineers, right? Or they're right brain and they're creative and emotional, intuitive, right? That these are these traits that are just fixed and they're based on this hemisphere of the brain, which is more dominant in you. But the truth is this, and it's based on full modern neuroscience, that is hogwash. Both hemispheres of the brain work together in almost everything we do. So it's left and right. If you're being analytical, it's left and right when you're, painting an artwork, right? Creative tasks, for example, engage areas across both sides of the brain, not just the right side. So while the left hemisphere is more involved in language processing and the right is more spatial awareness, this doesn't mean one side controls your personality or talents and like you can't jump over to the other side of it. Brain scans show that whether you're solving math problems or painting or networks, going on, the whole brain is lighting up and they are collaborating with each other no matter what you're doing. So why does this myth just keep going on? I mean, it sounds correct, right? We tend to try to engage in one side. It's kind of catchy. It gives people a simple identity. I'm left-brained, so I don't do art. I'm right-brained, so don't ask me to do math, But in reality, you are whole-brained, and you are capable of learning and expressing both logic and creativity. So if you ever thought, oh, I'm just not the creative type, neuroscience completely disagrees with you. Your brain was built to create.
Yeah, so it's not only built to create, but what we often get stuck in is the moment, I said it earlier, the moment that we start treating creativity like a luxury is usually the moment when our brain is screaming out it needs it the most. Because creative play doesn't just calm the nervous system, it actually lowers inflammatory markers, which can help us heal. So is this a luxury? Like, absolutely not. Like, this is a necessity. Everybody should be doing this. And the science backs up what we're saying. There's plenty of studies. There's a Drexel study that shows a 75% drop in your cortisol after doing 45 minutes of art. 45 minutes. Like, if you could do that once a week and have such a massive drop in your cortisol, like, that to me is a win-win. Yeah. There's a jazz improv study that talks about improvisation. It lights up the medial prefrontal cortex, which is your area of self-expression, and it down-regulates the dorsal lateral prefrontal cortex, which is your self-critique, right? So what does that translate into? Creativity literally shuts up your inner critic, which so many of us need because we are really hard on ourselves. There's also another survey. It talks about 3 times of 20 minutes a week of honest journaling, like where you are not self-editing while you write. You are just letting it all come out. Well, that showed a measurable immune boost for up to 6 weeks. So what does that translate like for our brain fog crowd? If you doodle, if you hum, if you journal, whatever it is like a free anti-inflammatory, anti-anxiety pill that also makes life less boring and just, like, for me, more joyful.
Oh, yeah. And while we're on the topic of just free pills, we can't disregard nature in this, right? One of the most healing things for both creativity and chronic illness is nature, right? Like, I know, like, oh, okay, here we go. That sounds super simple. Like, oh, you're just going to tell me to go take a walk. But it's not just a walk in the park, literally and figuratively. Like, It is a full reset button for your nervous system.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. There's a lot of research out there. Like, even doing something as small as 20 minutes, which is nothing. Because I feel like you can scroll through Netflix or Hulu for 20 minutes just trying to find a movie to watch, right? If you are outside for that amount of time, it significantly can lower your cortisol levels. And that is your stress hormone for all of our fellow non-sciencey listeners. So if you can be in a green space, right, it improves your mood, your focus, and it can even improve your immune response. So there is a lot of studies that are out of Japan's forest therapy movement. They call it, and I'm going to totally butcher this, Shinrin-yoku, which is considered forest bathing. Okay, so if you can do that, studies show that there is a large reduction in inflammation and anxiety just being around trees. Now, I love trees. Like, I have this weird fascination of wanting to hug or touch a tree when I'm around it. And Britt and I went not too long ago to the Angel Oak in South Carolina over in Charleston. And I just had to lay my hands on it because, like, there is the most peaceful, calming energy that comes off of that tree. And if you've never looked at it or seen it, look it up online. It's called Angel Oak. It's one of the oldest like trees in history. And it has the most calming presence. And we literally stood under there for about 20 minutes, Britt, and we took pictures and we just walked around, and you just felt completely at peace.
Yeah, because that energy that Marissa was talking about, it's not just science, right? We feel it. It is spiritual too. Like, if you believe in God, like me and Marissa do, like in the Bible, how often do people go to meet God in the wilderness? Like these huge, big characters, and whether you know about the Bible or not, but we know, like, we heard of Moses before and Jesus, right? Elijah. They all retreated to nature when things got overwhelming to them.
Yeah.
They moved away. They went and hugged a tree, right? Like, it's not just for your environmentalists, right? Nature is where we remember we are in fact small, but we are safe. We are wild, but we are held. And it strips away the noise, and it reminds us that beauty, even here, even now, it still exists, even when we feel like we are entirely falling apart.
Yes, absolutely. Because it unlocks like that creative part of your brain without you even trying. So if we like can stop staring at our screens, right? And we can actually look around for a second, and we can say, like, look at the texture of that bark, or let me just look up at the clouds for a few minutes, or let me listen to like what birds are out here right now and their bird songs, right? I feel like it stirs something up inside of us, and it's like God's artwork reminding us that we are part of something bigger. And that, like, to me, that's inspiring, and it's very healing, and it's also really holy. And we're not saying like, hey, go out in nature and touch some trees and it's going to cure your chronic illness. No, but it does hold space for healing when nothing else seems to make sense. And sometimes like that's enough to just begin healing, and also to sort of step into creating again.
Yes. Because regardless if you still want to continue with the myth of left brain, right brain, or I'm not creative, or whatever it is, you cannot deny creativity is in our very DNA. Genesis 1:1, the first book in the Bible, the first verse in the Bible, it's this. The first verb, created. We were created. And I always say this. We were created by a creator to create. We are the imago Dei, which is the image bearers, which means creativity is hereditary. It is in us. And Ephesians 2:10, it calls us poemia, God's poem. And, also shout out to Bezalel, like in Exodus 35, like this is the OG holy craft guy. Like he was the first person to be like, get me some glitter and get me some glue because we're going to do some crap. Like he was that guy. He was the one God told how to craft the tabernacle with carvings and tapestries and gold and colors and jewels. Like God was like, yeah, I am for this. And y'all, like that means that your messy art table can be worship then. And your, shaky clay mug is a sermon on grace. Like, because we stop creating because we don't think we're good at it. Because at some point in life, we just decided, whether it was, in high school where, you're in the junior varsity versus varsity league, because the only things we can do are things we're good at. It's like, what about for the fun? Like, so we stop because, oh, I'm not good at it. Or worse, we think it doesn't matter at all. But children, my children, know something that we forget as adults, that I forget, which is creativity is essential. And in the name of growing up, we lay down the very things we need to actually mature us, which is to ground us. so that we can actually deal with the hard we have in our hands and not be mental health basket cases, right? Like this is so important. We need it. And y'all, I don't have to tell you this. But if I do, life is very, very hard. Like when the scale is filled with pain so much on, one side, we must, for the sake of our bodies, souls, and minds, we have to fill the other side with intentional joy, or the whole scale gets out of balance and then we get out of whack and then we're not good. So we have to be intentional because y'all, it ain't just falling from the sky. I don't know where you're living, but it's not like, and you get joy and you get joy and you get joy. Like it is being stolen. It is something we have to fight for. And how many of us feel joyless? And I hear this from my friends, even that aren't in the chronic illness world. Like we feel joyless. We feel empty because we have not taken the time to balance the scales. And there's seasons when the scale will tip towards pain because there's so much going on. But that's not supposed to be the climate of our entire lives. You see the difference? Like a season, yes, but a climate, no. Like that's not how it's supposed to be, where we're in this constant, like one's way up here and one's way down here. We may not be able to do anything about the pain. Often we are victims of it. Like we didn't cause this diagnosis, right? Like this wasn't at our hands. And sometimes it is at our hands and we cause our pain. But often that pain is out and we can do nothing about it. But we can do something about joy. That is entirely in our hands to cultivate and to fight for. We don't just have to think, okay, we don't have enough strength to fight for it. Y'all, we cannot afford not to. Okay? We have to. Creativity and nature restore our souls, our bodies, our minds, and our strength. So they are gifts from heaven. And, I honestly, I see God in a flashing red cardinal. My kids now know to point them out to me because it's this reminder when I see that, I could even be at a stop sign or, just like dozing off somewhere and, you're not really there. And then you see this like, poof, this flash of red and it's boom. It's this present reminder that like, I'm not alone. I'm not alone. I'm seen. And I once even saw God in the face of a golden retriever. And I'm not kidding, right? I was fully in the pit that week. And those weeks, and it was rough. And I said out loud to God, where are you? Like, I can't see you. And I was mad and I was depressed. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go on a walk. I got to move my body, right? Got to move forward. And so I went on a walk around my neighborhood just to get outside and to breathe. And I do find that so healing. And so I passed by this park down the street from my house, and a lady was there walking her old golden retriever dog. And as I approached them, no joke, the dog sat down, just bloop on his butt, and just started to stare at me. But it wasn't just this like look, like it wasn't a dog looking at me. It was this like soul piercing, and golden retrievers already have those soulful eyes anyway, but it was like this depth. And the owner was desperately trying to get their dog to like keep going, right? Like, I'm on a walk, we need to go. But he sat there just staring and staring at me. And something in my heart said instantly, like, I see you and I love you. And I no joke, just like I started bawling. And I was like, God? I'm sure that lady thought I had lost my mind. Like, I'm staring at her dog. God?
Is that you?
Are you there? But I met God there. And when I acknowledged that dog, and I acknowledged God in that dog at that moment, the dog got up and just continued on his walk like nothing ever happened. And it was just this moment where I found myself in nature. I found my heart again, and I was met.
I remember the dog story. I remember you calling me up after it happened at your old house, and I do. I think that we get these different moments, and I love that you mentioned your kids, right? Because I don't know about you growing up, but I remember like maybe for some people they want to put together like a model airplane and they want to like paint all little parts like with their dad or their mom. Like I always wanted to color, I always wanted to draw, I always wanted to paint. Like I got so much joy from it. And you know, this was also going back a long time ago, like before we had screens in our hands constantly. But I just loved to create as like, you know, like you wanted to forego like shower time and even like eating your dinner because you were like, can I just do this instead? Right? It brought
Yeah.
you like so much joy. So, guys, like creativity is such a crucial part of our life, and we need to start thinking about it as a crucial part of our healing. And I know that maybe some of you listening are literally in the thick of it, and you're like, Marissa, I don't even have enough energy to brush my hair. Shut up. And I totally get it because I've had those days. So maybe today isn't the day that you're going to jump back into creativity, but just hear us out. Because we've talked about on the podcast before, like trauma and chronic illness literally rewire our brain. And when you are basically just making it through every day, so you're living fully in survival mode, our body is solely prioritizing safety over, hey, let's go do something really cool and like creative and fun right now. Like, no, your body doesn't feel safe when you're in survival mode. I understand that. So all it's interested in that moment is how can I feel safer? But guess what? If we slowly and gently reclaim some creativity back in our life, it actually helps rewire a sense of safety. And listen, like Britt mentioned, we all have something creative in us, and we're all different in this way. And you also have to know that your creative endeavors may change as you get older based on your health status. Like when I was young, I went to college for art. I got an art degree. I love art. But guess what? After I graduated, I went back to college and I did another undergrad in chemistry out of all things. Why? Because I love math and I wanted to go into nursing. So I don't go for that whole like left brain or right brain. Like this isn't an only or situation. Now, those first few years after I was diagnosed, guess what? I never painted and I never drew. I felt like that part of me had completely died. And then one night I was laying alone. I was in the hospital room. I was in the trauma intensive care unit and I was so sick and I was so mad. You know, like my journey in episode 1, I didn't go to crying. I went to like pissed. And I was just laying there and I was like, really, God? Really? Like, and this is my conversation with him. I'm like, so you created me. You know how you made me. I'm a creator. I'm a doer. I'm a type A'er. And now I am been literally stuck in the hospital or bed for years. Like, you created me to be a certain way. Like, you knit me to be this way. So I am pleading with you, please give me something good back, like something I can find joy in, like something beautiful. And I am telling you, he brought back an old love of mine with such a deeply ignited passion. And that love was writing. That was also something I love to do, like during my teen and like late teen years. And it was glorious. And the reason why was because in that moment, like I needed that like sliver of hope because I could do it from my hospital bed. I could do it from my bed at home. And it opened up this world of possibilities for me and creativity in a time that like I so desperately needed it. And I will tell you, it obviously like this huge writing career kicked off, but do you know I did not pick up a paintbrush for over 14 years from the time I was diagnosed, right? And then this season of life came out of nowhere where this desire to paint just flooded back to me. And it was a season of life that was stressful for a whole other host of reasons beyond like chronic illness. And guys, I didn't just like get out like a little like pad and like paint a little. I got these massive canvases, right? I love to work in large scale. I'm talking 4 or 5 feet high and wide. And I created 10 paintings in about an 8-week time frame. Like they literally just poured out of me. And I noticed something I think that you get just with age and perspective. I noticed something over and over again in those 8 weeks, and it happened every single time without a hitch. I could go into that space that I had created in my home, and some days I was exhausted and I had fever and I had horrific body pain from the lupus. I would turn on my radio player, I had like an old school radio player, and I would paint for about 5 to 7 hours at a clip. And every single time that I shut the light off and I closed the door of that room, I would stand there for a second and I would take note that I had zero pain in my body. I had an incredible energy that usually took me a couple hours to come down off of. And I was just flying high on joy and like this awe. So as you go through these different seasons and as you deal with illness, like let new forms of creativity merge. And it might be something that you've never tried. And whether it's you laying in bed and creating like a 10-song playlist of your health and healing journey, or you writing a short story fairy tale of the current season that you're in, and guess what? It doesn't have to end with some like Disney sappy happy ending. You can just pour out the honesty on that page. It doesn't even have to have an ending or resolution. It can stop like where you are right now in your healing journey. But there's bravery and there's beauty in those words being written, and you can let your creativity flow, and all while helping coax your brain back into this state of like regulation and safety.
Y'all, like Marissa and I have been friends for a while, but I did not know you did not paint for 14 years.
Yeah. I thought I was never going to paint again. I really thought that part of my life was over.
Wow. Because when, I met you in your season where it was like, this is go juice, like this is everything. And it's incredible to see what the human body does when it brings and reintroduces things back into it, on how do we get back into this, like how it helps you survive.
Yeah, I think God also meets you where you were at, right? Because those 3 first years of me like being diagnosed, like we've talked about it before, like I had a nurse coming and taking care of me. I was not about to stand up for 7 hours and paint. Like even writing took all of my energy, but at least it was some form of outlet.
Yeah. Wow. Well, y'all, we're going to teach that, right? That's what we're going to go into next. My background's in education. So how do we do this, right? How do we reclaim that part of us that was lost because we need it? So first we're going to hear from our amazing sponsors, but come on back because you need to know you can get this back. We've got this together.
Ever wish you could be paid to share your chronic illness story? The Insights, like things you know, matches you to paid interviews, focus groups, and surveys to share your experiences. Visit theinsiders.com to check out our current opportunities for lupus patients. Trying to figure out what's triggering your symptoms but can't put your finger on it? Try Folia, a health tracking app to help you connect the dots and get to the bottom of what's going on. Download Folia Health free in the App Store with invite code LupusChick. Folia is the one app to track it all. Learn more at foliahealth.com/lupuscheck. That's FOLIA health.com/lupuscheck.
Are you experiencing symptoms of lupus or feeling alone on this journey? The Lupus Foundation of New England is here to help you. They're dedicated to supporting those living with lupus, offering education, resources, and a community to help you navigate the journey. From learning about symptoms and testing to upcoming events and research, the Lupus Foundation of New England has you covered. Visit lupusne.org and connect with others who truly understand. You don't have to do this alone. Visit lupusne.org. That's lupusne.org today. Hey, welcome back. So I really like to be creative, but I am not your typical creative. So I find my soul again in decorating my kingdom. I for a while had an interior decorating company called Anape Designs, named after my little girl. And for many years, it was this joy of decorating and bringing beauty into the world that just inspired me. And, most of us spend a lot of time at home for, obvious reasons. We're there, we don't feel well. So we feel bad. And I don't know how, I don't know how important beauty is to my soul until I start creating. And then I realize, oh, dang, So I realized I need this, and I started to create it in my own home. And I used to make furniture and restore it before I was sick. That was the way that I just felt the most connected. And so when I got sick, I was like, well, that's done. I can't be creative now. I can't be out in the garage for, 5 hours sweating bullets and, all the dust and all this stuff. Like I thought it was over for me. But I find now that I just had to rework it, The challenging thing on most days now, when I have, low energy or, home life expectations, it's like, what do I do? But, and I say this all the time, like, y'all, you would not believe what an hour and a paintbrush can do for your life, whether it's on canvas or not. But for me, I would be sitting there. My husband probably hates this, but bless him, he's very patient with me. And I'll be like, I'm going to paint that wall black. He's like, what? Why? I'm like, because we're doing that today, and it's just like an hour, and I throw in some music and, that wall becomes black. I don't know why, because maybe it was a really depressing day and I needed it to speak to my soul. But whatever inspires you, painting a wall an inspiring color, maybe that's pink, maybe it's black, right? You can do so much and it's so low risk, because if you're like, whew, that was a dark day, shouldn't have done that. Well, guess what? You can get a white paint can and do it all over again, right? If you hate it, paint it back. What's the risk in it, So pick a small wall or a small area, like underneath a center aisle, like this like little small area, depending on your energy level, or even like an entry wall, right? And just give it a go. Like do something that just feels good. There's so many like peel and stick wallpapers now that are on Amazon, and just read the reviews, like read them well. A lot of them just fall off, but just, like go on there, find something. Even if you're in an apartment, that can work because it comes right off. Like if it's like, oh, you know what? I just need to see pictures of beautiful peonies and roses. Like they have that on Amazon. So go for it. Go on Facebook Marketplace and find some like really like funky chair or a lamp that makes you smile. Like I love buying things that are just outrageous. So when I walk by it, like either makes me laugh at how just outrageous it is, or it's just cozy to you. Like it's yours, Like my favorite chair is a $5 a find that I had in an estate sale. Like I love it. So I love all things embroidered. It is literally my catnip. So I look for embroidered art at estate sales, antique stores, for the simple part that it brings me joy. And I'm going to be stuck in this place for a while. So I might as well look at things that I love and make me smile. Like, you don't need a lot of money. Like, I want you to understand that. This is not just because, like, just go buy all the things. Like, you don't need a lot of money. You can find these things. Most of the things that I have in my house are all bought from Goodwill to estate sales to antique stores. Like, you can buy something pretty inexpensive. And my rule that we have in the house is if I want to buy something for the house, I have to sell something on like Facebook Marketplace or, to a friend or something like that. So create that barter system within yourself if you're on a tight budget. Like I get that too. But whatever it is, just fill your house with joy. And I think also in incorporating what we talked before in that creativity and that nature, you must fill your house with plants. Marissa is a crazy plant woman. I did not know that about her until I went to her house and I was like, whew, we got to talk.
Yeah, I got 50 babies. Those are my
Yes.
plant babies. 50.
Like, and it's good, right? Like, and y'all, I kill everything. I have a full black thumb, but for some reason, fiddle leaf plants are virtually indestructible. So that is my plant of choice. And I have them everywhere in every room of my house. And you're not going to regret adding a life source into your rooms. And that's what plants do. So if you need something that you're just like, I don't know where to begin and I don't have money, right? I love the rule of 27 things in Feng Shui. It's this idea that if you're feeling stuck, which raise your hand, huh? Yeah, I do too. If you're feeling stuck emotionally, physically, spiritually, or just even that energetically, it's just, I'm stuck somewhere. It can help by moving or changing 27 things in your home and environment. So that's just like walking into your bedroom and being like, these nightstands I'm going to use as coffee table end stands. This lamp here, I'm going to move it there, right? It's move things around, and it feels like you would be shocked about how it feels like this is a brand new home. Nothing in it is new, but you've moved things around. You have a different space. You have a different view. It's a different perspective. And sometimes that different perspective in your environment creates those like, oh, wait, yeah, I see things differently now. And sometimes it's all you need. You don't need new things. You just need a new perspective.
No, I've never heard of the 27 things rule, so I think I'm going to actually give that a whirl because perspective is key. I think it's really important, and thank you for teaching that to me, Britt. But honestly, I also want to talk about like timing things. Like as you're doing this, you want to time them for your body when it comes to creativity. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you're like me, you might have a ton of creative things on your mental to-do list. You're just waiting for like your energy to match. So like my brain is like a squirrel in the sense of I'm like, do I want to paint right now? Or do I want to write like a new book? I really want to try that fondant cake art that I've had over here. Oh, and then I have that wallpaper in my bathroom, right? So I love that even after 20 something years of chronic illness, like my brain still wants to do everything, which amazes me. But I've had to train myself over the years is stick with what like creativity aligns with my energy and my health in that moment, in that day, in that season of my life. Because if I'm having a full flare day and the most I could do is get myself food into the bathroom, well, that might be the day that I just sit on my back like screen patio with some tea and a blanket and watch like the birds and the little animals that come and just think about things that I might want to do, or I might just sit there and pray. And on the hard days, like not full flare days, but they're still hard, those are usually days that I'll write. And for me, that's a joy giver. And I could do it while I'm literally like wrapped up in my covers in my bed and I look like the Grim Reaper and I feel like I just rolled out of a trash can. But I can still create something really amazing from like a blank piece of paper, okay? And that gives me a lot of joy. And the days that I feel really strong, well, that's the day that I'm usually going to paint for most of the day, or I'm going to try like a really difficult recipe that I've been saving forever. But I think when we don't have pressure to perform and we can infuse creativity and meet our body where it's at, like we can actually find a lot of joy in that because we're not forcing ourselves to do something at the risk of pushing our body over the edge and causing a flare up and feeling terrible after. And maybe even like make a list of all the creative things you want to try one day and separate them into 3 categories: low, medium, and high energy days. And then choose accordingly because guess what? Even as you make that list, you're being creative. So that's like the perfect place to just even start.
Oh yeah, because now there's these times where, we are like, okay, that sounds good. I'll do that. But then we blank. Like it's like the ultimate brain fog because we've denied ourselves creativity for so long that I'm like, I don't even know what to put on this list. Like, don't talking to me about low, medium, and high. Like, what's anything, blank. Because we have no longer believed within ourselves that we are creative. And we've shut that down. Or we feel so like deep into survival that we don't allow our brains the space and capacity to even come up for air. And if that's you, I've been there. I am there right now. I know I need to create, but I'm like, I think I can just watch Gilmore Girls. Like that's what I have right now. And it's totally okay. Like I'm going to come out of it. You're going to come out of it. It's just, we don't want to stay there, right? It's okay to be there for a season, but right, remember a season versus climate. Don't stay there. Okay. So to get the juices flowing again, we're going to ask you to do this exercise with us, right? And I'm not talking physical exercise, but like a mental exercise. So whether you're driving or you're at home, listening, just grab a piece of paper or put your good thinking cap on, be like brain fog, go to the back. We're trying to think right now, right? And we want you to ask yourself a couple questions, okay? What did your 8-year-old self do for fun before grades or likes ever existed? What was that 8-year-old you that was having a bad day and so you wanted to do blank? Okay? What's that? Next question. When did you last lose track of time? And what were you doing when that happened? Okay. All right. This one's good. What sounds juicier? Coloring, humming or singing, rearranging furniture, or snapping phone pictures? Which one you're like, oh, I kind of like that. Which one just kind of, just the moment I said it, you just like something when you just went up a little bit. Who do you know that you would say, oh man, that person is creative? And what can you learn from them? Like, we can call up our friends and not just like an SOS, but be like, Marissa, how do you watercolor? We can talk about those things too. So who is that person and what can you learn from them? And then look around you, unless you're in a car. What tool can you reach from your bed right now? Is it your phone, camera, notes app, yarn? Like, what is it from where you are? Like Marissa was saying, meet yourself where you are that you can do. Like, one of the things that I realized in this season, I have super low energy. And so painting a wall is harder for me. So I went online to Amazon and I got a punch knit. And it's super easy. Like, my 10-year-old does them with me. And we can make in like the length of a movie. I can make an entire punch knit. And it's these fiddle leaves with cats. And I don't even like cats, but it makes me laugh. So I'm going to frame them. Mm-hmm. Like, I can grab that from my bed right now and I can move my hand up and down while I'm watching a show. And it's just brings something a little bit more to me.
So all of those ideas that you threw out, like, got my brain like spinning. And it also reminded me of something when I was like super sick, or on the days that or seasons, like a month where I'm in like a horrific flare, and I literally just exist. My whole job for the day is just breathing and hopefully getting some food and getting myself to the bathroom. Like, I will just open my computer and I will actually watch like YouTube videos of people watercoloring or decorating cakes, or, you know, doing some kind of art. And like, I save all these videos into all these categories of things that I want to try one day. But I think even watching people be creative in the moments where I'm just too sick or too exhausted to, or I'll watch, like, you know, because I have a piano and I love music, like I'll watch piano tutorials and people explaining like their whole way and their whole process through it. It brings me joy. I'm not even the one doing it, but it's like I'm taking part in it, right?
Yeah.
So there is no wrong way to create. The only wrong way is to not create, like, is to not do it. So here are some ways that you can also be creative, even if you're in the full-on flare, right? So let's talk about like 3 different areas that you might find yourself in this very moment when you're listening to this. So if you're flat in bed, like I was just talking about, you can't do anything, you might want to watch some other videos, but you might also just want to voice memo on your phone, like a 60-second story that you make up. Or you might want to do a digital coloring app on your iPad or whatever your, you know, little tablet is. Some ceiling view photo series, like you can do things with your phone. And like, so why do things like this work though, right? Well, they engage your auditory visual cortex, and there's no standing that's required. So maybe you find yourself, you have a little bit more energy. Maybe you're couch bound, right? You're not stuck in bed completely. Like Britt said, like maybe you can grab like your yarn or whatnot and you can knit a couple of rows, or you can, I don't know, make a collage from your junk mail, because we all get so much of it. Or you can pop onto your Spotify or your Apple iTunes and make yourself like a playlist for whatever season that you're in life right now. But again, why do things like that work? Well, when you do repetitive hand work, like Britt was just talking about with her punch work, that actually calms your vagus nerve. And when you listen to music, like, you get dopamine hits. I mean, these are things that are all like helpful. I mean, there's a reason why music therapy is like, it's one of my favorite things to do. And if you're feeling a little bit stronger and you can handle, say, 10 or 15 minutes sitting upright, you might want to try a little watercolor, like doodle, or maybe plant a tiny little like mini like herb garden, or like Britt said, you know, the 27 things. Maybe go over to your nightstand or your dresser and sort of rearrange everything, right? And why does that work? Well, low stakes novelty actually signals safety to our brain. And you know that Britt and I are always looking for ways for our brain to feel safe. So whichever one of these things like resonates with you, I want this part to really imprint on your brain. Creativity isn't a hobby. Like, don't look at it anymore as a hobby and something that, you know, is luxurious and you rarely get to do it. Start just imprinting on yourself over and over and indoctrinating in your brain that creativity is a part of your healing plan. It should be made part of your actual healing plan.
Yes, you need it, so do it. Yeah, pick up the crayons, the camera, the Canva templates. I love working with those, whatever is within reach. And let your brain remember, oh, it's still alive. Like, you need this. And if you are stuck, creativity is just not flowing from you, or you're stuck emotionally, get outside, right? Go into nature. Let it heal that part of you. No pressure to journal or pray perfectly or sketch the sunset. Just go sit under a tree. Just breathe and listen and let the wind do the talking for a while.
Yeah, and if you're listening, if you or someone you know is living with chronic illness or autoimmune disease or whatnot and uses creativity as an outlet, Britt and I want to hear from you because we have some ideas for the future and we just also love creativity and art. So we want you to reach out.
Yes, because whether your thing is writing or spoken word, painting, sculpting, crafting, interior design like me, could be music, or y'all, it could be macaroni art, you know, whatever it is, we want to see it. Like a proud mom, like we want to see it. We're looking to showcase artists, makers, creators in our community with our people. We want to shine a light on your work and your story. We truly do. So if you want to be featured or you know somebody who should be, right, push them to it. Click and follow our Instagram page at I'd Like to Unsubscribe and DM us with your creativity because we want to see it. Let's remind the world together that creativity is resilience in motion.
Amen, girl. Well, we love you, tribe. So if you're feeling up to it, make something tiny today and tag us at I'd Like to Unsubscribe so that we can clap and share all of your stuff like proud kindergarten teachers. So we love you guys.
Yeah. We'll even put it up on our fridges.
That's right.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Bye.